The second trailer for Avengers Doomsday has leaked online, which means it'll go to theaters eventually. We're going to talk about it now. Now, for those of you who are like, second teaser for Avengers Doomsday, I haven't even seen the first teaser. Well, that's because you didn't go see Avatar Fire and Ash in theaters this week. I don't know for Disney where the week begins and ends, because starting with the release of Avatar Fire and Ash, which was last week, every week we're going to get a new teaser for Avengers Doomsday. They're all, it seems like, based on this trend, going to follow one character, just give you kind of a sense for where they're at, why they're going to be part of the story. Whereas the first one was more of an announcement for an actor and character that is in it, the second one is more of a tone setter, I would say. We don't really get too much new information here, but there are some things we learned that are interesting, and I don't have the footage now to show you. I obviously have it here to look at. We don't know what weeks 3 and 4 are going to be, but I think based on rumors we've heard that have been, until this point, proven true, Captain America's week 1, Thor's week 2, Doom is week 3, and then week 4 is like a mashup of all of them and maybe new stuff in like a proper teaser or trailer. Now, Avengers Doomsday does not come out for a year. Each of these teasers ends with a countdown that counts down to a year from now. So I don't think they need to tease too much. I think because Avatar Fire and Ash is this last big event movie of the year, and a lot of other movies are setting up their trailers, Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, Disclosure Day, the Steven Spielberg Alien movie, Supergirl, maybe Spider-Man also, because we've seen leaks of that. I don't know when that's going to actually surface and what movie it's going to come out with. Rumors have pointed to Anaconda. But because of all those trailers in front of Avatar, I think Disney wants to promote something. They're like, we want to show that we have something exciting coming next year too. We want to be in the conversation for like things to be excited for in 2026. And right now, I would assume it would be like Avengers, that last Starfighter movie, Toy Story 5, that Hoppers movie, and a bunch of stuff I'm probably forgetting. But like, that's why this is happening the way it's happening. And because these trailers all go out to many, many people, they get leaked, and we got the Thor one today. First funny thing about the Thor one, a version of this trailer got leaked a couple of days ago, and you could hear it, you couldn't see it. It had a lot of the same information and some of the same visuals, but it was not real. That was AI, and I could hear it in the voice. I didn't say anything about it in the video, I should have, but it just did not sound like Chris Hemsworth's Thor. It sounded like Chris Hemsworth just speaking with his normal Australian accent. But that's the crazy thing about AI now. You can make a convincing fake if you know certain things about what the real one's going to look like. Because like now that they know what the costumes look like from that one leaked crew gift, people have been making AI versions of the characters from Doomsday in outfits where you're like, that is kind of what they're supposed to wear. So it does look somewhat realistic. Like before, you would see one of these things and go, well, that's not how he's going to look in the movie. That's just stupid. But now you're like, they've got all the information. Similarly with this, I'm assuming someone was told what this trailer was, but they weren't told what Thor was going to say, so they just kind of had to make it up. So I think that's funny. I like calling those people out. Like, it's funny if you can hear the difference, but the scary part is, in the future, you won't be able to hear the difference, and we'll all just have to live in a nightmare world of unreality. Anyway, so this trailer focuses on Thor. This is the Thor that we last saw in Thor: Love and Thunder. He is still a father, obviously, because his daughter, Love, still exists. If you haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder, Gore, the God Butcher, is very sad about his family getting killed, so Gore uses his magic wish to bring his daughter back to life, but then Gore dies, and Thor vows to take care of this daughter. So, like, she's not biologically related to Thor. She does have some sort of superpowers that come from the fact that she was created from eternity. There's one shot where you could see her in a reflection, I think, and she had the same like pattern that Singularity, a very recent comics character, has, which made people think like, oh, that's what they're going for with her. But anyway, she seems to have some superpowers. She's able to wield Stormbreaker, and that's it. That's where we are with Thor. Dialogue of this trailer is a prayer. I have seen it translated a couple of different ways with a couple of differences. It's translated because the version we got, the leaked version, is in French. So like the dubbing is in French. I assume it's possible. It probably isn't what they're going to do. Maybe Thor will learn French over the course of the movie, and he'll just speak French. Everybody will be like, oh, that's silly Thor. What's he going to come up with next? That's probably not what it's going to be. But these are the words of the prayer translated by someone that's not me, who presumably speaks French, and I've seen a couple different translations. It seems like it's pretty close. Father, all my life I have answered the calls of honor, duty, and combat. But destiny has offered me something I never expected. A child, a life preserved from the storm. Grant me the strength of the All-Father to be able to fight one more time, to defeat a new enemy, and to return to her. Not as a warrior, but a protector. May she not know war, but peace, the kind I have never known. I beg you, Father, hear my prayer. That is every word that is spoken in the trailer. Now, this is a little bit interesting because this is Thor praying to his father, presumably who he knows is in Valhalla and not really interacting with people anymore, but either it's probably more of a thing for Thor to just do for himself. And also maybe he knows like his father gets reborn because of the cycles of Ragnarok or something. So he's asking his father to help him fight a new enemy who I assume is Doctor Doom, although that's not made explicit, maybe it's somebody else, so that he can get back to his daughter. All of the images in this trailer are Thor with Stormbreaker in a forest. He looks very serious. He has short hair again. This Thor is very similar to the one that showed up in Wakanda in Avengers Infinity War, which is a lot of people's favorite Thor. The only shots that are not in the forest are Thor at his daughter's bed, like putting her to bed, maybe reading her a story or something. So it's interesting because this is the second one of these teasers that is focused specifically on an original Avengers relationship with a child. Steve has a kid. That is something we did not expect. Thor having a daughter is something we know, right? They set that up in the movie, but it's like people have theorized that maybe whatever Doctor Doom is doing has something to do with the children, especially because a lot of them, like Franklin Richards, have superpowers. The only thing we've seen Doctor Doom do is go mess with Franklin. Now, Steve shows up with the baby, and now Thor's like, I gotta make things safe for my daughter, which honestly feels like the kind of thing put in the trailer, not necessarily because the daughter is going to do something important, but because the trailer wants to remind us Thor has a kid. That is information that will be important to understand maybe the larger context of what's going on. I mentioned Thor is using Stormbreaker. We don't see Mjolnir, but Thor presumably has Mjolnir too. In the end of Thor Love and Thunder, Thor has given Stormbreaker to Love, and Thor is wielding the now kind of reforged Mjolnir. Maybe it's just like Stormbreaker's a more dynamic weapon. It is pretty cool looking. The main thing that stood out to me here is tonally, this is very serious. Now, this is promotional material. Thor Love and Thunder, the silliest of the Thors, had promotional material that would suggest the movie was serious, and then it wasn't. So like that was something that people didn't love about it. I would say because everybody involved, the Russos, the writers, and then also Chris Hemsworth himself, seemed to understand that like people didn't really connect with the Thor Love and Thunder Thor. I do think part of what's valuable to Marvel about this trailer is showing people we're doing old Thor again. Not like that old, but just like Thor from like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. Which is to say, serious Thor, cool Thor, but still dad Thor, right? It's not like we're going to ignore the events of Thor Love and Thunder, just about setting the tone here. And I do think, again, for all of their faults and everything Electric State and stuff, the Russo brothers have a real knack for pulling really cool moments out of characters that maybe had not had moments that cool in the past. Doctor Strange, I would say, gets one in Avengers Infinity War where he fights Thanos. Iron Man obviously also gets a cool one when he fights Thanos. Captain America catching Proxima Midnight's weapon in the train station. But the big one in Avengers Infinity War, at least, was Thor arriving on Wakanda. So the Russo brothers know how to make Thor look cool. And I think a lot of fans are seeing this teaser and being reminded like, oh, that's something I can be excited about. I really wasn't thinking about like, this will be a cool Thor movie, but like when Thor is cool, Thor is the best. And there's a lot of characters here that like I'm excited now to see Thor interact with. I'm excited to see Thor potentially interact with the Sentry. I'm excited to see Thor interact with the Fantastic Four, like the X-Men. It'll be interesting to see Thor alongside characters like Ant-Man, who he shared some time with in Endgame. And then I think Thor is going to be very interested in the idea of Steve coming back, so that is cool. The single line that jumped out at me was this: grant me the strength of the All-Father. Now, I've seen this translated as the father of all things. It's possible that that's what they're going for, but either way, the strength of the All-Father in Marvel Comics is not just like the heart of the cards or like the belief in yourself. The strength of the All-Father is the Odin Force. The Odin Force is like a specific cosmic supernatural force that empowers Odin, gives him the ability to do all the crazy stuff he does, is the reason that like Odin traditionally, like peak Odin is like a top tier Marvel Comics character up there with like the Phoenix Force and like Galactus in terms of like the strongest characters in Marvel Comics. In the movies, we haven't seen the Odin Force do too much, although we have seen it do a couple of things. Apparently, the Odin Force is used to power Odin's spear that we see in the very beginning of the first Thor movie, and the Odin Force powers the Destroyer armor, which is like one of the most powerful weapons in Marvel Comics. The Odin Force also is what apparently gives Thor his power. So Thor being the god of thunder, or Hela being the goddess of death, Hela creating the knives, or Thor creating thunder, that comes from their wielding of the Odin Force. Now, traditionally, Odin has the Odin Force and the kids have some of it, but Odin needs to sleep to recharge the Odin Force, and then he is able to use it, and that's why he's able to keep control over the 9 realms. But when Odin dies in the comics, and when Thor is the king of Asgard, that means Thor inherits the Odin Force, and it becomes the Thor Force. And all that means is Thor gets much stronger when he is boosted by the Odin Force. It's kind of like that belt Thor has that makes him stronger that he's never used, but got like a name check in Spider-Man Homecoming. But like an Odin Force Thor is the strongest kind of Thor. So if Thor is praying to Odin and he's like, give me the strength of the Allfather, maybe he's like, let me access the Odin Force, because obviously I have some of it because I'm using my lightning powers, but like there's more power out there than I'm going to need to fight Doom. And maybe that's part of Doom's plan. Maybe Doom wants to get Thor to use the Odin Force so Doom could steal it. Doom's always about stealing powers and stuff like that. And the Odin Force, even though it hasn't been brought up a lot, has been around for a while. It's been around since the first Thor movie. It's even in that gun that Coulson uses to shoot Loki. Like, that is channeling some of the Odin Force. It's why on the wiki, like, him and Fitz from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are technically people that have wielded the Odin Force. The only other thing that's interesting, like, question I had about this trailer, it takes place in a forest, exclusively. Like, Thor's walking around in a forest, kneels down, does the prayer. We don't know what that forest is or like where that is. I would assume that is on the planet that Thor is from. Like, part of me when I saw a forest was like, oh my god, he's on the Fox planet. He's in Earth, whatever it is, that has Beast and all those guys in it, because it's always populated by forests. That was like one of my first videos. It would be so funny if like when characters got sent to the X-Men planet, they all ended up in forests. That's what like the phrasing I think of, I have to fight my enemy, makes me think like maybe Dr. Doom has tricked Thor into thinking someone else is the enemy, because he doesn't say I have to vanquish Dr. Doom. I don't know. Feels deliberate. But hey, you know, this is the second trailer. I'll say this, the reaction online that I'm seeing from people, like, way different than the last one. A lot of the hardcore Marvel fans, and some of the casual ones, but like the people that I, you know, see on Twitter and follow and stuff, were like, oh, I don't really like that Steve is coming back. Like, maybe there's some good reason, but I like that he was gone, and now it's like, oh, they're just redoing the hits all over again. Thor, they've seen this trailer and go, oh, this is awesome. Like, peak Thor is back. We are excited about this. I think part of it is just like, we knew Thor was going to be in this movie. And I think part of it is Thor is in an interesting place now where I think we know we love this character. And I didn't mind Love and Thunder. You know, it wasn't my favorite of the Thor movies, but like, I think there were a lot of people who were very disappointed by that movie and would like to see Thor maybe in like one last big stand in this movie and then in Secret Wars, like fully embrace the cool, serious Thor from like the Jason Aaron comics that Love and Thunder was kind of adapting. Not that he never makes jokes in those, but like it's usually got a more serious tone. So I think this is a very effective teaser. People are reacting to it, I imagine, the way Marvel wants them to react to it. And that's great. And speaking of the Fox X-Men movies, because I love these movies, they are like some of my favorite movies. X-Men 2 is probably like one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. It is fair to admit that, especially compared to the MCU, the actual canon of the X-Men cinematic universe is a disaster. So much so that another awesome video essayist, Lindsay Ellis, made a video called Trying to Make Sense of the X-Men Cinematic Universe Timeline. In it, Lindsay and Angelina partially just sort of reminisce about the wonderful Fox X-Men movies and like what they meant to superhero cinema at the time, and also try to connect them all to each other in what is, you know, a fool's errand, and always has been for X-Men fans, but I think is a fun exercise and is a fun way to just like remember what we loved about these movies, kind of why they're fun and quirky. And that video is an hour and a half long. I don't know if technically it is longer than any X-Men movie to date. I would have to assume if it is, it's probably either X-Men Origins Wolverine or New Mutants or Dark Phoenix. Maybe those to me feel like they would be the shortest ones just because they're like not that great. But you can watch Lindsay's video right now exclusively on this video sponsor, Nebula. You guys have heard me talk about Nebula before. It is a subscription streaming service that I helped to create. A bunch of us video essayists, and I don't like call myself a content creator, but like content creators got together and we were like, hey, these platforms we have to work with, they're great, but they have some problems. And the big one is we wanted to just make great videos, give them to you guys. We wanted to make a nice, clean, well-organized place where you can go to watch all of our videos. They all go up early, so every Nando V Movies video and Nando Cut video go up early. They're all ad-free. You can download them to your phone, which is a feature I don't hear nearly enough people talking about, but is incredibly useful. Like if you don't want to have to eat up all your data or deal with the Wi-Fi at the gym or something, download some videos, you'll have them with you. Also, this is a thing that wasn't a concern when we started Nebula, but has become a concern when talking about the other platforms is, I don't know about you, but when I jump onto other platforms, I am flooded with AI. We were talking about it just now in regards to the Thor trailer. Like, it is everywhere, and it makes finding information, especially useful information, really, really difficult, because you don't know if it is being made by a person, and if it's not being made by a person, A, you don't want to support it because AI is bad, but B, like, if you're trying to learn something or get some information, AI just makes stuff up. So, like, I have gone to so many videos trying to learn things about comic book characters that I kind of know some stuff about, but don't know everything about. Like, oh, I want to get brought up to speed on, like, the full story of Cable or something like that, and just immediately you hear something and like, that's not true. Oh, this is AI. Okay, yeah, ignore that. The videos on Nebula are all made by real people, and that didn't used to have to be a selling point, but now I think it might be the best selling point. There's also all kinds of cool videos you can only find on Nebula. Like, Lindsay makes videos almost exclusively for Nebula. One of her most recent videos was about Bluey adults, and the one after that was about dash cam footage, so it really covers a pretty wide spectrum of things. Then you've got short films like Patrick Williams' Dinner Plan, or series like Maggie Mae Fish's Amy's Dead End Dreamhouse. And you have what we haven't like fully announced, but will be coming out sometime next year, our show Subliminal. It's our first like dramatic series. I wrote an episode. I think it's pretty good. I've seen parts of it now because it's like coming together and been edited and all that, and like it looks great. I can't wait for you guys to see it. If you want to support us, give us more opportunities to do cool stuff like that, and you want to see our videos early, ad-free, download them and see other creators on Nebula, because all of your favorite creators and your next few favorite creators are on Nebula right now. Like, there's something for everybody. And a yearly subscription to Nebula is $60 for a whole year. That is $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, or the link in the description, or you use the QR code, you can get a year of Nebula for just $30. That is $2.50 a month. It is an incredible deal. It is the best Nebula deal. You can also gift someone a subscription, maybe a late holiday gift. And if you want to check Nebula out on your own, sign up for a 3-day trial. I guarantee you will find something you like. Again, that is go.nebula.tv/thenandocut.